news this month, and that was that John has resigned as president of the club. I've got his letter. I'm going to quickly read it out just so everyone's understands his reasoning. Fellow members, it is with sadness and regret that I have to inform you that I've resigned from the City Bonsai Club. Over the past few years, my health has been gradually deteriorating. I indicated to the committee some time ago that I was prepared to continue to participate in the committee while ever I was able to, and while ever I had their support. Unfortunately, due to the sudden deterioration of my health, I am unable to continue. I've been a member of City Bonsai Club for 15 years, and as I said in my last annual report, I think the club's strength and future success lies in the camaraderie of its members. The willingness of individuals to unselfishly help each other to improve the quality of their trees has been and will continue to be the reason why I keep coming to these monthly meetings. While I have hopes to continue to enjoy the company and friendship for some time to come, I'm uncertain about my health and therefore about my future participation in club activities. I hope that you understand why I have to step down. I would like to thank the committee and especially you, the members, for the support you've shown. I wish the club every success in the coming years. Obviously pretty sad news for everyone. From the committee's point of view, and tonight is probably how it wants to be. John does an incredible amount of work, whether it's being here for 4 hours every meeting night, whether it's data collection, he does all this manual stuff that I'm only just finding out now, really. He organises all the small things that we all take for granted for, and the committee's going to share that effort. And whilst we haven't got a president currently, we're going to be working that out at the next committee meeting. But next time you see John, I'm not sure if he's not coming tonight. I'm not sure if he'll be here next month. But if you've got any kind words, I definitely think you should pass on. I think we all appreciate how good John has been as a president over the last 4 or 5 years. So, we've got any new members tonight? I don't see any. No, right, that's fine. Quickly, is Brian floating around, or anyone that was at the Mount Wilson trip that wants to give a recap? James, you look like you're about to stand up and tell me. Yeah, how was Mount Wilson?
I didn't go.
You didn't go?
No.
You didn't get any trees?
No.
You got anything?
Never.
Share?
Where's Brian?
Brian's in the other room.
Look, it was a great experience. Not much choices. Only maple, and a couple of conifers, Australian conifers. Is that you, Australian?
No,
Chili.
There was three other types of trees.
Yeah. Maple, you.
limited.
Cherry wouldn't show us.
I had 2 cherries that I could take already.
Great success.
One fell out of the moisture bit and was on the ground and breathing for a couple of hours. So let's be that with
So next door that was really good. You know, some big property, walking around, getting lost.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some interesting feedback. There was, there's sort of restrictions around what trees you take, but Crowding property was amazing, and I think from what I've heard, he'll be happy to have us back next year. So I'm looking forward to that. Pretty long list. I'll give a couple of quick things. Scott Martin, we've got that workshop on the 18th and 19th of October. Now, the people that gave me their names in previous months, we're going to look for payment tonight. So what we'll do is after Lee's done her presentation and critique, we'll come over and talk to Brian about getting the payments done and the dates set up. Basically, everyone's got availability. Sorry, there's availability one session for anyone at this stage, and if there's spare days, then you can roll it to 2. It's going to be first come, first serve. So there's some people who have given indication they want 2 days, so they'll get first go. The other thing is next month we've got our sale night. So basically anything you want to sell, try and sort of fill up a few tables and get rid of odds and ends, or even nice trees that are quite fine. You don't have to bring lots of barrel stuff. I'm very guilty of that, so I don't speak too quickly. But yeah, other than that, and then next month will obviously be a more of a workshop. You won't have a presentation, so make sure you bring some trees along. Other than that, we've got Lee, who's going to talk to us about, I think it was meant to be 7 or 8 trees, but it looks like there's
People want to styling, whatever people want to style.
Yeah, so Lee's going to talk to us about styling and also pot selection. For anyone that knows Lee, and I think many of you do, Lee does not like round pots. She likes pots that have interest, that match a level. But I think she's probably got the most eclectic and interesting pot selection out of anyone. So lots to learn. Any other big news? I think that's everything. Otherwise, I'll just hand over to Lee.
Doesn't mean good or bad, it means styling and pots intermix. Now, part of this would have been better last month when the trees were naked, but they've all decided to grow. In June, Ollie had a lot of you working on making a clump of maples. That's one way for maple grafting. Another way is to plant them together, braid them together, as we say. That's what I've done with these. They're about 10 year and they're about 5 years. So I wire them together. You let them grow. You move the wire, more wire on as they thicken and start to merge. Leave these branches on because that will help thicken the trunk. And the other thing that you have to do is you have to start reducing as it grows and as it starts to dry. You have to start reducing the amount of branches up here so you get a pyramid shape, a tapered shape as opposed to a pole shape. So this is a start with very juvenile trees. Sergio is doing the same thing, but he's got more mature trees. Now the one thing you also have to do is trees that are straight so you get them close together. So when you're root pruning them, you would be root pruning close on one side to get them all fitted together. Trees like this, you're not going to be able to move them around each other, but you're still, over time, you're going to get a grafting coming through. Now, this is one of those maples. I would presume this is about 10 years old. You can see the lines of some of the trunks in through here, but you've got the taper coming through. When I got this as a plant, it had branches coming out all over. You can see by the stubs that the branches were big, but that is helping to thicken the trunk. And the maple, I would say, in 3 years' time, that would have calloused over. So when you're cutting branches off on maple, do it concave, so the callus then becomes flush and not a big bump. Now, this is about 10 years old. This is about 15 years old. Once again, it's all grafted stock. This is so old, but look at the character of this trunk. It is just simply amazing. I bought it knowing that it had faults, but I just absolutely fell in love with it. It cost me $1.50, but this is a tube, and this is a tube, if you can see it. I'm hoping over the next few years that those will thicken up, or I can shorten them, or they'll shoot out. Also, if you arrange your branching as it develops, you can help hide that. If you just hide a little bit of it, then it doesn't look so tube-like. Also, when you're working with a twin trunk like this, you do not pot the twin trunk straight on, which it would be that way. You pot it a little bit to the side, because this creates a feeling of mystery, where front on doesn't. It's like this or like this. And that's an important aspect if you're working with twin trunks. So I would say that, again, this would have taken at least 15 years to get to this stage, because the bark is just about in the stage where it's going to start to flake as dried and stew. And I haven't done any styling with this yet, because I wanted to show you what I want to pull off. Let me just turn it around. I did repot all of these when I got them, but I have me, usually I come home straight away.
How long since you
May. Oh, I probably repot it in June.
Do you prefer to pot your deciduous at the start of winter instead of the end?
So I tried to speak.
Do you prefer to pot your deciduous on at the start of winter instead of the end, or is that just a coincidence that you happen to do it then?
It's just a coincidence. Now this pot is, I got this pot the same time I got the trains. Marie Hewitson, Queensland potter. She does simply spawning pots. The bloom, once the maple, the color of the leaf, once the maple comes out, it will be really stark. It's a little bit big for the tree now, but I'm planning ahead because nothing's worse than buying a pot for a tree that's this size and then it grows and you've lost your pot. I want the tree no higher than this. I want it spread out about here. You could put it in an oval pot. But because the trunk has so many curves to it, you wouldn't want a square pot or a harsh sort of pot. Because a maple, remember where a maple grows. It's going to grow in meadows. It's going to grow where there's water going. So you don't want one of the really rugged pots with big roots in it. Because that's not what where a maple would grow. It wants more water than that. So always when you're potting your trees, keep in mind the tree's natural growth habits and where it will grow and try to pot accordingly. Okay, when I talk about the maples grafting beautifully, if you planted a maple as root over rock, it can take you at least 7 years to get it really started. But after it gets 10 or so years old, the roots actually start melting down the rock. And you can lift the tree up and the rock will come with you. With an elm, it's completely different. Now, I've had this tree for 7.5 years since Sue Brennan died. She had it for quite a number of years. There are 2 separate trees. They have been planted next to each other and they have never grafted. They have never come close. Even growing out, thickening, they are not thickening together. I have an elm at the Arboretum, which is on a rock. Anytime I repot that, I have to be sure to hold the tree and the rock because an elm will never cling to a rock. A privet, a fig, a maple will cling and make that rock part of it. An elm never will. So don't waste your time trying. You can get good root over rocks, but you just be care and potting. Now, I love this pot. It's a Western Australian pot, or black swan tea, or bad swan. The size is right, the shape is right, but to me, when I look at it, I see both the tree and the pot. They are equal visual strength. I will leave it in here for the next few months, but when I repot it, I will put it in a little softer pot. Because you should really register the tree first and then the pot. When the two are fighting with your eyes, you're defeating the purpose, and you're spending years growing a tree, not growing the pot. Now a friend of mine calls this moldy bread glaze. It's a very striking pot. It is a very strong tree. And the tree can handle the busyness of the pot surface. When you're working with any pot that has a pattern or design on it, you have to be sure that your tree is stronger than the pot. And I have tried a number of trees in here, and it takes a certain tree to be able to handle this pot. And if the glaze were any stronger, I wouldn't have bought it. But I just simply fell in love with that, and I grabbed it. So this is some of the things that you have to look out for. Another thing when you're going into pots, this pot has a very wide lip. I find it very difficult to work with small trees and work with pots that have lips. I have another small pot at home with a tree this big in it. The pot has a lip, but because the lip is colored sand, it works in with the surface of the plant, and it looks okay. But you have to be careful what tree you would put into it. This is a matte glaze English pot. One could consider it too dressy for a native, and yet it's a classic, rugged looking pot. The color of the various glazes pick up the claret tops, pick up the mallee root, and it really works with this particular tree because the tree is strong enough. And I also personally find with a pot with a big lip, the taller the tree, the better it is. If you've got a tree that's short, it's all going to look like this. In the same way, I didn't bring the other pot with me. If you have a tree that's got really heavy foliage and you put it in a darker pot, you're going to find it's harder to see. You want a lighter pot to reflect up so you can see that tree. Either got to get a taller tree. Now, back to pots again. Think outside the box. Brian makes some really odd pots, and I like odd trees. This is Shaman. You can see the witch doctor here doing his little dance. I have had this potted that way, and it worked really well. And I thought this time, I want to think outside the box, so I actually turned it this way, which lengthens the tree visually. And that tree is, with the roots the way they're growing, it is emphasizing the roots on the tree just by the way you have the pot done. You do not have to pot a tree in a square pot. You can pot it so you're actually potting. Do I have a square pot here? Sort of like this. You can actually pot it that way. If it suits the roots, but there's no rule that says you cannot pot at a different angle. So, this tree I do not think would go into a conventional pot because it's just too out of the box. It's not like the maple, which is really standard, a great informal upright, classic informal upright. This is a weird one, as a witch doctor should be. Now, this is one of the trees I bought at the AABC. Now, once again, last month I had no leaves on it, so you can see the tree. Why did I buy it? This is for those people who are starting and want to know what to look for. I bought it because it's got a lovely nabari. This root is grasping, this root is pushing, so it's very, very stable in the pot visually. You have a beautiful curve here, which has wire marks on it, but the wire marks have become bumps, which add to the beauty of the trunk. It is not a tube, it's a little bit tubey up here, but not much. Up here, which sadly you can no longer see, everywhere there's a high point on the tree, there's a branch. The branches are in perfect position. And with that in mind, and the fact that it was just something out of the ordinary, I got it. And the leaves are big, but with cultivation, the leaves will shrink about half that size. And this is a handmade pot from Melbourne. The color goes well with the maple, with the leaves now and the leaves when it turns to, it just goes yellow in my neck of the woods. But it also has an indent here, and that mimics the indent here. So the pot and the tree are talking to each other. They're telling you the same story. The pot is high glaze, which suits a maple, where it would not suit a native. Because maples, the Japanese trees, the exotic trees, they grow in more refined areas, in gardens, in parks. The natives grow out in the rugged bush. So to put a native in a high glaze, high colored pot is just so wrong, or a pot with dragons on it, something like that. They do not belong in Japanese or Chinese pots. They really need the classic rustic look that our potters can get. Now, I bought this little devil because I didn't have one and I've never really seen one. It's a lomacera, a Japanese honeysuckle. Really tiny, tiny leaves. And it was only 20 bucks. You know, what's that, 3 cups of coffee? Like that? I was going to cut off one of these 2 branches because you don't have 4 branches. The word for 4 sounds like the word for death in Japanese. So only rarely can you get away with 4 trees. And this is not one of them. So I was going to cut off one of the small branches, and then I'm thinking, this is the apical branch or trunk because it's higher. This wants to be apical trunk because it's thicker. So which one goes? This branch has more character, has more movement. These two are very straight, but if you get the foliage low down, the straightness is not going to be so apparent. So what I'm doing with this is I'm cutting off that part. Now, immediately, I have emphasized the curving branch. These, I mean, there's no way I can wire these because they're hard as wire. It's not going to happen. I might be able to get a bit of a curve in that, but I'm not going to worry about it because what's important is getting branching coming down to conceal that or to hide it, to take the eye away from it, and to build this tree up as the major tree. And it could be in the end that these two are cut off, but I think that I think can be brought over a little bit. This basically where it is, but with that big branch gone, you suddenly have a more unified tree. And for 20 bucks, big deal, you know, it's hardly a huge loss. This is the same beast. They went back to the nursery the next that night and got more trees. This is a Lonicera as well. It's about this tall, very straight branches. And I am still, I've been watching this tree for months. I don't know whether I cut this branch off or I cut this branch off. So I'm going to wait to see how the foliage develops before I make a decision. But it's got root that's coming back here to hold it in the soil where it's leading this way. It has a beautiful thick trunk and bark, great tiny leaves. It's a no-brainer. How could you pass it by? Some people probably say easy. I just bought this one. It's ugly. It's a pipe. It has no taper whatsoever. The branching is, it's actually older than it looks because it's pretty firm, but the thing about it is the leaves, it's an elm. The leaves are incredibly tiny, unbelievably tiny. So it doesn't have a lot of potential at the moment, but you don't know how it's going to develop. And for 25 bucks, to have some different tree in your collection, I mean, come up later and look at the trees, but if any of you know the Seiju elms, they've got the really tiny leaf, and they're very, very touchy trees. And they have an odd way of growing. But this is growing like an elm. And I think that in a few years, this can be a nice little tree. It may never win a prize, it may never be great, but it'll still be interesting with those little leaves. Now, when I got this one, this is another one of Brian's pots. Now, when I got this tree, it was like that, okay? So never look at a tree and think that's the way you're going to plant it. You have to turn the tree around to decide what is the best way for that tree. You always learn to listen to new trees. I do not believe in tying trees in pots. I do not have a growing situation where I get a lot of wind, so I don't need to. This tree, because of the angle and the shallowness of the pot, it has been tied in twice. It's a Cotoneaster. It's having a hard time at the moment adjusting to Sydney climate, but it has branches at all the right places. It just needs a little bit of pruning and a little bit of TLC to realize its potential. It will flower. There's one over there that I'm selling because I bought 3. Cotoneasters grow very straight, very fast. And it is very difficult to find a Cotoneaster that has a lot of bends. And at the price this was, which was cheap as chips, it was definitely worth it. And just clipping a few things off, I want to study that at home more. But you can see you're going to have this is coming to the front, we don't want that. This is coming to the front, we don't want that. This is probably going to go. I'm going to rain here tonight because you're looking at it, you've got this beautiful curvy thing coming up, but your eye is stuck with this one, and it's pretty straight. Cotoneasters do not have gin because it's a tree that does not grow in harsh conditions. And when you cut branches off, don't leave stubs. It's so untidy. But you can already see, you've got a branch here, you've got a branch coming back here, this will come off. You're already getting the feel of the tree. And once it starts to grow and develop, it's going to be different. It's not your typical informal upright or even, it's a slanting style. But I think I just think it had a lot of charm and character. And this I'll write down. Well, actually, no, because the tree is growing this way strongly. You've got your wind going this way, so what the hell is that branch doing there? Come on. So you can already see the skeleton that's coming, and it's already getting more character. Where's the other one? Am I this one? No, this one. Same thing. Oh, well, 3 of them, we had 5. When I got it, it was like that. And I tried different angles, and I thought, definitely a weird and wonderful cascade, semi-cascade. It just, you get rid of all the small growth. Anything growing down, anything growing up. Now that's quite a healthy branch. I don't want this, it's crossing. And I don't think I want this. I don't want that either. But you've got, I'm going to leave this for the moment because it's probably in the wrong position, but I could swing this out as a branch coming out here. But again, this pot is, what I have in Denise Edgerton, I think. Really, it's also very good for a native. It's a very earthy looking pot, but it's a refined looking pot. And it's...
That's a quick question. How old is that plant?
That plant is probably about 5 years old. And I have a cotoneaster that is coming up to 10 years, and it is not much bigger than that. So to get something that's this curly is just unique. And even if it's going to be trouble styling, go to a workshop, you know, whatever. But you have to get different trees in your collection.
Hey Lee, how do you think about pot size for semi-cascades?
I think a lot of semi-cascades are planted in pots too big. Also, once again, in my neck of the woods where I have my trees, I get wind, but I do not get strong wind. So I don't have to worry about them being knocked over. And putting the tree in a pot this small is going to slow its growth even more. If I were really good, I would put this tree in a bigger pot, maybe like that big, to give it full. But I look out my dining room picture window and my kitchen picture window onto my bonsai benches. And I don't want to see black plastic pots.
So with this one here, when was it changed from, or that's the original pot?
No, it was a black plastic pot. Similar to this in size, a little bit deeper. June. Now, this is one of those little freaks of nature. Again, it's grown very quickly. I bought that in a little pot, and I got it home to repot it, and I discovered I had all that. Now, that is sheer luck. It can also go the other way. When you get a tree like that, and you think, oh, this is fantastic, and you get it home and you discover it's dead straight underneath about that far, and it just wrecked the whole tree. That's when you get the dirty fingernail. So if you bonsai nursery, you look at a tree, you dig around the base to see how far down it is to the nabari, particularly in places like Flower Power or any of the commercial nurseries, because they top up their soil and they've got maybe that much mulch on it. And you don't know what the mulch is hiding. You can have reverse taper. You can have really queer roots. So in this one, I just saw that stubby little olive and I thought, oh yes, because I love olives. And then it just developed into so much more. And once again, I have it in a very tiny little pot. This is a shiny pot, which I wouldn't usually put an olive in a shiny pot. But because the pot's small, because it's indented, it doesn't show that much. And the color of the pot is very suitable for an olive. And I got that pot at Salvo's for $2 and put a hole in it. I am missing somebody. Where did he go? You still have a hole someplace. This one I got from the sale table last month. It's a cosia. They are very fast growers. It's an Australian native, and it was just a bundle of foliage. It just all going piggly. And it has nice movement in the trunk, lots of interest. I have several of them already. I went home and I cut off a lot of, there's a big branch up here, I cut that off. So it's obviously windswept, really tall peanut with windswept. It's in Marie Helixson pot. And although the pot is pink, it could be in a pink limestone country. It has a cracked look. It still is suitable for an Australian native, and it's got rough texture, but it's what I call refined rustic. It's not a crap pot. It has a refinement that matches the tree, complements the tree, and yet you could put a flowering tree in that quite easily, but again, I do love my pots. That was the front. Repotting came, and that was even more quirky. Became the front. It's a coastal tea tree. It's one of Brian's pots. It's a weird pot. I mean, come on, it's a weird pot. It's an even weirder tree. You couldn't put this pot in a conventional, you couldn't put this tree in a conventional pot. It would look silly. It's like satin on leather. They don't go together. The color of the pot brings out the blue in the leaf, which in summer is very blue. The odd features of the pot suit the odd features of the tree. And it just is a marriage. I think it's fantastic. So when I got this tree, it was all growing up. And I've now started to make foliage pads, but that's going to be a lovely native in a couple of years. And this is, again, a more conventional pot. Is that the front? That's the front. It's a coastal tea tree again. And, you know, if you go to a bonsai show or something, and they tell you it opens, the sale table opens at 8 o'clock, be there at 7:30. Because I walked into this place at 7:30.
Just gave you a secret now. Everyone's going to be there before you.
Yep, I still move fast. I got sharp elbows. So I'm going like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put it back. They didn't come in until half an hour later, but my trees were behind. This is one of them. Once again, it's far more conventional pot, a straight semi-cascade pot. But the surface texture of it is colors of the bush. It doesn't have a high glaze, and the nature of the pot suits the tree. In the future, I could put it in a different pot, but for the moment, I quite like this one. It's a good size for it, and the tree is happy in it. But the colors the muted colors are really good. One thing you've always got to watch when you're buying pots is green pots, because you can find a beautiful green pot, and the tree you want, the leaves don't match. They actually clash, and you think, how can green clash? Trust me, it can't. This is just to show you what I'm getting at and where I'm coming from. 2 Port Jackson figs. This is a very nice pot. It's a commercial pot. The color is good, the size is good, the shape is good for this fig. It's boring as batshit. It doesn't say anything. It's just a pot holding the tree that nobody can object to, like brown pots. This, on the other hand, is, again, it's the right size, the right shape for the tree. Can't you just see that tree by a billabong or by a little creek? It's telling a story. It's bringing out the story of the tree that you want to go. The texture works with the trunk. The soft shape, never put a fig in a square or geometric pot, because a fig is all curves. And if you put it in a geometric pot, it just doesn't work. It needs a pot that is oval or round, depending on the tree. Or one of Brian's weird, wonderful pots. I love his pots. I'm not being insulting when I say weird and wonderful. I just think these pots are magic with the trees, and they really make the tree. If I put that in an oval brown pot, it would lose all its magic. You wouldn't see the bush. You can see the bush with that. You can see that tree growing by a stream. And this is what you want to do. You don't want a pot just to hold the tree. And this, by the way, I'm boarding. The owner is ill, and I've got her trees, but I thought it would be a good demonstration to show you what standard is against something that's handmade and more suitable. And people can say, I can't afford handmade pots. And I'm saying they're not cheap, particularly these days. But if you go to bonsai sales and get there early, you can pick up pots that people will sell. They don't realize what they are, or they don't realize how much they have appreciated. I don't normally sell my trees in handmade pots because I would never recoup the money I spent on them. So I have most of my trees in handmade pots, and I have more handmade pots on the shelf than I do on the bonsai shelf. But I just love it. It's disease, but it's better than hope and sheets. And this is one of those trees that somebody donated a couple of Christmases ago. It was in a plastic bag. It was this tall, and it had foliage here and here and here, really long leaves. I looked at the trunk, stuck the foliage, stuck the upper branches. Look at the trunk. Particularly as you get older, you buy a trunk. You can make the foliage, you can create the upper structure, but it's harder to create a good trunk. So this one, from up to here, was cut down to here. This scar I naturalized with a Dremel. These will heal over. I have one tree that has a big hole in it. I call it the potbelly fig. Give me 2 more years and the hole's going to be gone because the callus is growing over so well. And this is another instance of matching a pot to a tree. Now, olives don't grow in manicured gardens, although they're all over the area where I live because we had a lot of Macedonians there for years. They grow in harsher country. Think of Greece. You don't see green lawns, etc., green paddocks in Greece. This pot, English, it's battered, it's burned, but it gives the feel of where this tree would grow. It emphasizes the age of the tree. A brown pot would not do the same thing. So, just, again, try sales, but think outside the box. Don't always think a brown pot. There's a lot more variety out there. And even some of the commercial pots these days, don't go for the bright blue, high gloss glaze. The pot holds your tree, but your tree is the most important thing. You want a pot that is subservient to the tree, but isn't cowering down. The pot is part of the artistic outlook of the tree. Once you have your tree potted, it's a bearing fruit box with the original rusty nails. You get that, and you put your native tree on it, and you have a refined rustic stand, refined rustic pot, a refined rustic tree, and they're all saying the same story. If you were to put this tree on a Japanese stand, it would be so wrong. But all you're doing with this is to bring out the bush feel of the tree, and you can smell the bush, you can feel the heat. And that's what you want to do with your trees. I have this stand, which is also very nice. but it doesn't give you the same message. It's too refined. You could do it. You could put it in a show, and most people wouldn't say anything because this curve and this curve complement each other, but it doesn't have the same feel with the tree as that rough one does. Or a slab. People are making stands out of fence palings. It's what our trees need. So don't dress them up, but dress them nicely. Now the last thing on my agenda is Port Jacksons are the favorite city tree. Every bonsai grower has Port Jackson trees. How many of you know how to tell a Port Jackson and a Norton Bay fig?
Is it the shape of the leaves?
Yes. Well, what is the shape of the leaf?
Well, one of them's got longer leaves, I don't know which one.
Can't depend on that. I've got samples. The one on the left is Port Jackson. The one up and down is the Morton Bay. Look where the leaf connects to the stem. On the Morton Bay, it's almost like the heart. Think of the heart of Brisbane, okay? You'll find Morton Bays in the heart of Brisbane. The Port Jackson is far more straight. That's the way you can tell. Port Jacksons make better bonsai than Morton Bays because that little leaf is on one of my Port Jacksons I've been growing for about 12 years. 14, 16 years. So the leaves are very small. Morton Bays will not get that small, and it's harder to keep it small.
Morton Bay is naturally.
That's a typical Port Jackson leaf where they come down together. And if you're trying to identify a tree, don't look at just one leaf. Because I was pulling leaves off my port, and some of them have a slight indentation on one side. But if you look at a number of leaves, you will see that they match up here where the Morton Bays go in. That's it. Yeah, they have yeah, they do, but not all of them anymore. This is a beautiful Port Jackson leaf. There's no little, if you people who don't know Port Jackson very well yet, you'll find little white spots all around the edge of the leaf. That's natural. That's part of being a port. It's not a disease. It's not anything to worry about. But ports are most of them are developed in seeds, so you've got all this seedling variation. A lot don't have the red back. It's Ficus rubiginosa, ruby for the red back, but so many figs these days do not have red backs. Okay, and that is a small ground-grown tree. That little Port Jackson I have, that's how far the leaves will reduce. And this maple is throwing up big leaves back here. But it's been fertilized, it's young, and those leaves will reduce half that size. It may take a couple of years, and then they'll tend to stay. You'll get them. I mean, this is a very small leaf maple. That's really nice. This is slightly, even if you look at all these, the leaves are all different. Subtly, but they're different.
Are you pinching it a lot? Are you pinching your tridents at the moment?
Sorry.
Are you pinching your tridents at the moment?
Not yet. I've kept my hands. My best trident has just this very week started to shoot leaves. I've been going, don't die on me. But the others have gone, but I didn't want to touch these until I'd done my little demo. So you can kind of see what they were. Any questions? Okay.
Which one's for sale? Including the pots, huh?
We'll do a critique of display trees. After that, come to me for anyone that's going to see Scott Martin and then workshop.
We could take the top 20% one.
Okay. No, I've got that. I don't like to talk with it. It's personal, okay? Where you can get your Dremel or dive and carve that back so it looks as though the branch is broken off. But you've got beautiful blossoms, and this does highlight the blossoms. It's nicely displayed, and if I don't like the pot, that merely is my opinion. It doesn't mean it's wrong. This one is beautiful flowers, very, very lovely flowers. A bit tallish, you need to develop more foliage if you're going to have a big tree. A little crepe myrtle. It's a beautiful crepe myrtle. It's got a natural hole in here, and if you, can I lift it?
Yeah.
What you should do is drill through here so that any water that comes down here has a natural flow out. Anytime you have a cavity in a tree, you must have drain holes so the water doesn't stand in there and rot the timber. But that has got brilliant bark, beautiful movement, lovely, lovely leaves. Does it flower?
I don't know. It literally just budded out 2 weeks ago, and I've cut it back twice already. It's just went mental.
No.
I've been told it does flower, but I haven't seen it yet.
Because it's a flowering tree, the general consensus is you put it in a glazed pot. This pot has been chosen and it picks up the colors and the feel of the tree. And while in one aspect one consider it's not the done thing, it works. And if it works, do it.
Yeah, it's great.
Beautiful little Taiwan maple with all the flowers coming out, which should then they go into catkins then, little seeds coming down. Beautiful flowers on this. I presume this is a training pot because it's massively overpotted, but if you're trying to develop the tree, it's not bad, but the color of the flowers and the shape of the petals is just lovely. Nice pot with the tree. I don't like the stand, it's a bit too small. There's philosophy with azaleas. You can grow them for flower, or you can grow them as bonsai, and sometimes you're lucky enough to grow the two of them together. This is probably flowers on the front of the bonsai bench now and goes to the back of the bonsai bench, but over the years that will develop. You can start cutting it back once the flowers are gone, but it's still a beautiful thing, and it does have movement through here. I have a problem with this tree. Number one, the stand is too strong for the tree. If the stand were matte or satin, it would work, but it's too strong for the tree because you see both of them. The other thing, it's a Satsky azalea. For those who don't know, Satsky azalea it can have a solid color flower. It can have a flower that has half white, half pink, a quarter white, a quarter pink, or in this case, a soft lavender and a deeper purple. That is natural to the tree. It is not grafted. Only Satsky azaleas do that. And that is spelled S-A-T-S-U-K-I, but the U is not pronounced. It's Satsky.
Is that because of the sun?
The other,
Is it the colouring to do with like the direction the tree faces, the sun? Or as in like if the sun hits one side when...
No, it's the way it'll grow. Because you can see a tree and you might have half of this petal pink or purple, a quarter of this petal purple, all of this petal purple. It's just Satsky's nature. My major problem with this tree is my problem. There's nothing wrong with this tree, but the tree has beautiful flowers. It's very, very well presented, but the tree also has a very interesting trunk, which you can't bloody well see. Once the flowering is over, if it were my tree, I would be restyling this so you could see the trunk and then the canopy of flowers. Because it's huge. It's absolutely enormous. It's got character. But and I know the flowers are lovely, but you've got to honor the trunk. That is the most important part of the
Just came
tree.
back from dead 2 years ago.
Well, it's done really well.
Yeah, it was dying, that's why I left it to grow.
Okay, that's fine. But I just would like to see more of the trunk. Beautiful colors, nice pot. Now here's what I mean about that stand. It's so bright. This stand is more matte. So you see the three of them, the tree, the stand, and the pot, but you focus on the tree, and the others are just there as fringe. That's the balance that you want. Brilliant color, not the bright blue, but it actually looks like a handmade pot with that beautiful glaze and the beautiful finish. But it's a beautiful matching of the three. I don't like the pot, I don't like the stand. The tree is stunning, absolutely stunning.
The pot was an emergency, got blown up.
Okay, that's fine.
I've got problem trees falling on my benches. Even 2 days ago, I got a broken pot.
The tree is amazing, and these flowers, they start purple, bluey purple, then they go to white, then they get red berries, which go to black. So it really is nice, and they tend to flower bits and pieces for months. Not a lot.
What sort of tree is it?
A lilac cap. It's a little bit young to be on the bench. It's in a totally inappropriate pot, but it's in that pot because it's in a plastic pot. But if it were to be on the bench, it should have flowers. She has a long way to grow to be a bonsai. This one is a West Stringip.
Okay.
You don't have a tree growing like that. A tree must have a direction. You could, if you cut this down to here, or choose which one is your main trunk, cut one down to here, plant it so you have this straight V, plant it so it's on an angle. Lovely foliage, lovely little flowers. Bloody brown pot! You can take me out later and shoot me, but I tell you how I see it. A black pine, I think it needs needle plucking, it needs some work on it. Trunk is a bit thin, nice nabari down here. And I think restyling possibly to maybe a literati. To emphasize this, get rid of that and make it a slight gin and start to develop this. But it definitely needs work on it, but it's healthy. It's really, really healthy. Okay, it's a nice display of trees. You can all shoot me now.
Thanks, Lou.
All right, thank you, man.
Right, so we'll get into the workshop part of the night. Feel free to have a look at these trees. Don't grab them. And yeah, if anyone who wants to do Scott Martin's workshop, please come to me. Other than that, enjoy your night. But I think it's
pretty good.
All of these are
Thank you.